Good afternoon. My name is Carolyn Brennan. I'm in the Office of Research here at UW-Bothell, and I just want to say congratulations on your choice of UW-Bothell as your higher education, and hopefully you're going to receive your baccalaureate from UW. I'm going to talk a little bit about the co-curricular activity of undergraduate research and creative practice. Dealey has just passed out a few handouts. If there's not enough, a lot of this information is on our website. So I want to make sure that you can check the Office of Research website. It's actually just uwb.edu/research. And there you can find suggestions for summer research opportunities, for current research opportunities. There's an undergraduate research database where you can find faculty members who list projects that are taking undergraduates, and highly recommend a lot of those. But before I get into too much detail, and then I'm also, Dealey is a ASUWB representative and a sophomore here in biology, so he's going to get a chance to tell you a little bit more about his summer research experience. Yeah, and he's also, you might recognize him from the website. He's been very active in ASUWB, helping plan it out and map it out. So I'm excited by all the choices. I just learned a lot about health and biology of those options. So this is undergraduate research and creative practice can give you another outlet for maybe, if you're not quite sure what you want to major in, starting a research project early. Lots of faculty are taking students who are first year pre-major, and just exploring that would be great. Yeah, you want to click the YouTube and back. Oh, there it is.
Instead of being like a normal class, this is more like an internship in the sense that you're doing things that you would in the real world.
Sorry, guys.
UW-Bothell gives you a lot of resources to just try something new, but you have to be bold and try.
When I came to UW-Bothell, I would have never guessed that I was going to be doing research, especially directly with an engineering professor. Doing this research was among the best decisions I made in college, if not the best.
So I would like to know that now it's pretty cold.
Spending time in the wetlands, hanging out there is really cool. There's a lot of opportunities for research if you actually want to get involved.
That's all really nice fun right there. So
As part of this research, we're trying to get local spawning population of kokanee salmon back into the streams around here. Historically they were here, but now they've been gone for about 100 years. We built this salmon incubator box, or RSI, remote site incubator. So the incubator box looks like a big cooler, and it has an egg tray, which you lift in and out, and that holds the eggs. These boxes just protect the eggs and give them a chance to survive. We're just trying to get the salmon back to a self-sustainable population that's natural.
The interdisciplinary arts program exceeded my expectations. There's so many options, there's so many possibilities. Any material that's in front of me and it speaks to me, I'll make art with it. I'm from Brazil. I moved to America in 2010. It was so frightening being an immigrant in like a new place, but I make myself belong here, and I do that with my art.
Teaching myself, but I still have, just like you said.
A lot of programs, they're so strict. You need to have that openness that this program has to choose any class you want, and I love that freedom.
I've been on this project for 1 year now, and most of that was as a pre-major. The goal of this project is to use what we call an OECT for short as a chemical or biological sensor. And these sensors could be used in a variety of fields. For example, a diabetic, to check their sugar, they'll test their blood, but there's potential with our device to be able to detect glucose in saliva. So that could change many people's lives for the better. The scanning electron microscope can give us insight into our fabrication process. I am kind of surprised that UW-Bothell would get a scanning electron microscope because it's kind of a big deal. I think it's important to get out of the classroom and work with my hands because I like doing it, but also it teaches me skills that I don't get to learn from a textbook. It's helping me build my future.
I'm just going to have to scour that.
Mentors are really important, especially with me. I didn't know what I wanted to do.
I'm doing quantitative flight numbers, all we need to know is what.
Oh, then I can see.
Professor Jensen taught me as a student because he actually cares. I don't have a scientific background, and so it was nice to have someone who I could talk to frankly.
It's very important to have someone to challenge you and to take you to another level because it's so difficult to do it by yourself.
I broke a stick, so
Tad, he inspired me to go beyond. That's why I want to be a professor, because these professors inspired me so much that I want to inspire people also.
it shows us how big these screens are.
I'm the type of person that learns better when I'm able to make meaningful relationships, and I get that at UW-Bothell. Dr. Choi took the time to really get to know me as a person and as his student. It makes me feel like my voice is heard and my opinion is valued. As a person, I feel like I've grown a lot. I would highly suggest looking around for a project that interests you. We have a lot, even though it's a smaller campus. It's been a really rewarding experience.
What excites me most is just seeing the actual impact that I can have that you never think you would have as an undergrad. Humans are the cause of why Kokanee isn't there anymore. We caused this to happen, but we can also fix this.
My growth from the first day of class to today, I feel like I'm a whole different person. After graduating from University of Washington Bothell, I'm going to go to grad school, and I'm so excited to see what art's going to bring next. And I have to thank University of Washington Bothell for giving me that confidence. I am an artist, and I'm proud of that, and I never stop creating. I challenge every student and everyone that is coming in. Don't be scared, don't be afraid, you just gotta go for it.
I have to go back to the slides. Complicated part. Okay. So I hope that just gave you a flavor for the kinds of opportunities that are available here at UW-Bothell around undergraduate research and creative practice. I think that it's what Chris was talking about, an opportunity to connect, to make sense of your education, to be able to really engage. And this is a co-curricular activity that can help enhance your curricular experience as well and your success here at UW-Bothell. So it can help you choose a major. It gives you a chance to work with students who from across the campus and from all levels. And also it can prepare you for graduate school as well. I mean, so many majors require research as part of their experience, so you can help to find an experience that's really rewarding for you individually. And then I brought a poster about the Graduate Research Fellowship Program through the National Science Foundation, just as a way to tell you that there's money for research in graduate school too. So it's not, research is for you and as pre-majors, and so we just want to give you a sense of what's out there. So I want to make sure that there's a bit of a slide is reflected in your handout also about how to find an opportunity, how to talk to your professors, just ask them about their research, check the database. And I think Dealey is going to have a better perspective too, since he's done it already, and you want to hear from him and not me. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I'll say my name again. My name is Dealey Barisha. and I'm here today to talk to you about my experience in research last year, my first year, with a faculty-led research project here on campus, and then this summer with this project down at the Institute of Stem Cells and Regenerative Medicine. This project is primarily focusing on an enzyme that is located in every cell in your genome, but specifically we're targeting your heart cells, which is what you see up there, cardiomyocytes. Does anyone want to try saying that enzyme name?
Cardiomyocytes.
The R words.
Oh, ribonucleotide reductase.
Yeah, we spelled it out, Chris. Ribonucleotide reductase. So we're going to experience the role of this and then the project. So before we get into this enzyme, we're going to talk about something that is a little more important. Something that this enzyme helps create is called DNTPs. DNTPs are primarily made of two different pathways for synthesis. There's the de novo synthesis pathway for DNTPs on the left, and then the scavenger pathways on the right. And the DNTPs are basically the building blocks of the DNA in your entire genome. It's primarily what your body uses for nuclear proliferation, which is DNA replication and maintenance and stuff like that. So DNTPs are really important. But I want to highlight the role of RNR, ribonucleotide reductase, in converting NDPs into DNDPs, and then phosphorylation into DNTPs. So, no, that's good. Yeah, next slide. This is a little more of an in-depth look into what the enzyme actually looks like. So there are two subunits. Back on the last slide, you saw that pathway. This is called the rate limiting step. So this enzyme, in the conversion of DNDPs to DNDPs, determines how fast that reaction happens. And not much is known about the function of this enzyme in cardiomyocytes, which is what this slide primarily focused on. So to do that, we are going to conditionally knock out ribonucleotide reductase in only adult cardiomyocytes, which we did so knocking out the R2 subunit, which was primarily made for catalysis. This is how we did it. So in our breeding scheme, we used a mouse model, primarily because when they breed, they breed multiple mice, and we can control their genome really easily by crossbreeding. At day 0, these mice are 4 months old, so they're adult mice, and they have adult cardiomyocytes. We took echocardiograms 3 days prior to an initial tamoxifen injection, which happened daily 5 days after, and then echocardiograms 1 week and 2 weeks post-initial injection with tamoxifen, which is a cancer drug. It's primarily, in this specific mouse model, it only knocked out the R2 in the adult cardiomyocytes. So very targeted knockout. This is what we saw. So before the tamoxifen injection, these mice had normal sinus rhythm. This is a good heartbeat on the left. But when R2 was knocked out and ribonucleotide reductase was not making DNTPs, these mice were in severe left ventricular dysfunction and dilation. And this is more data to quantify that. So on the left, ejection fraction is primarily the pressure that your heart relies on in order to get blood to the rest of your body. And what we see here is a significant decrease, because if your heart is dilated, there's a huge decrease in pressure, and the pressure that is needed to get blood to the rest of your body is way lower, which we see. This on the right just says that there's a significant increase in the dilation of the left ventricular walls, which we saw in the last echocardiogram. So this is what I do in the lab. I primarily play a role in confirming that R2 is knocked out in these tissues that we harvest, using PCRs, Western blots, and then analyzing the tissues for kind of like co-founding variables that were happening with the elimination of this cardiomyocyte. So cell size, fibrosis, cell death, and then quantifying the DNTP levels in a lab down at UW Medicine in Seattle. I want to highlight that this was an additional learning opportunity outside of any kind of like biolabs that you can learn here. When you do research off campus, like with a mentor or in an institute like this, you get the chance to learn more like sophisticated techniques and kind of a more intricate project, possibly on a bigger global scale. These are just the people that I wanted to acknowledge on the project. I pulled these slides from a presentation I did earlier in the summer. Something that I can highlight here is the amount of people that it took to and is taking to complete this project. There are 3 different labs, as well as Dr. Brian White, who's a bio professor here. He actually gave me the application to pursue this kind of research. But working on a research project here and off campus in an institute like this really promotes kind of like an interdisciplinary connection with other fields. That's what I wanted to say. So working on campus, I was in the lab of Dr. Cassandra Wright, and we had a project where we were creating electric stem cells in order to hopefully one day use them to insert into human bodies for prosthetics to have better mobility. And on that project there was like an ME major, CS major, bio majors. There was like the whole 9 yards, which I didn't really expect because this was like a biology project. But it was really cool to be able to work with different fields like that in that aspect and then learn a bunch of different stuff.
I'm wondering if you want to have, are there any questions about anything we've talked about? Because I have one. How did you get started in research?
So I got started in research last year, which was my first year here on campus. I was in my pre-calc 2 class, and the peer facilitator was running the project that I joined in Cassandra Wright's lab. And he made a mass canvas announcement that was like, we're looking for undergraduates. If you're interested in joining, like, please meet up. So I went, and then I got onboarded onto this project like that same day, and I was like, wow, this is incredibly yeah, so I joined on to that project, which ended kind of abruptly once the Cassandra Wright left this campus indefinitely. But then in the summer, Dr. White presented this opportunity to apply for this fellowship, and I did. So I'm glad that I got it. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
How does it look on a resume? Or like, do you feel like it presents other opportunities?
So the question was, how does it look on a resume, or does it present other opportunities?
Like if you work alongside the guy who's like, you know, like that industry.
Absolutely. So the PI in my lab was actually an attending at UW Medicine and he owns the lab, the PI. So other opportunities are really prevalent in this situation because I'm able to like shadow him as a pre-med, follow him around the hospital and stuff like that, as well as learn right alongside him in the lab. And then on a resume, something like this looks really good. On my pre-med application, they really like to see research. And then if I pursue other internships or jobs, this would give me a big step up. Primarily also just because of the skills and stuff that you accumulate on the research project, like data analyzation, how to present your knowledge, stuff like that. Skills that you develop in the lab.
So I'll add to that, another reason to work in a lab, get some research done, is along the lines of resume building. The principal investigator gets to know you as a person, and they know your capabilities really well, typically. And they can write a letter of support, letter of recommendation, which is often quite important for moving forward. That's another vital aspect, advantage rather, of working in a lab.
Chris and Caitlin want to weigh in on that at all, or anybody else want to have an experience? What that looks like? What does research do for you?
I'm just nodding my head because absolutely everything that was said. I mean, I think it comes down to that same thing I was mentioning. Just research is a great chance to find out how to solve a problem, how to like create knowledge and then communicate it effectively. And that's what people are looking for when you're going out into the world, is that you know how to do those things.
And I think today it's a critical piece to have if you are considering graduate school or you're doing pre-med or PA. It's just a really important piece of your education.
And not to mention, background science only shows that like in lectures, only about 10% or 10 minutes of the lecture is actually retained in your memory. So practicing the science that you were learning is one of the most effective ways to learn, and it will ultimately boost your confidence in the classroom. That's what I found.
Oh, and also you don't have to wait until your senior year to do your research. You can do it as soon as possible, and it's going to be a really powerful thing to have that early on. It sets the tone of the rest of your education.
It does. Start now, because the first opportunity might not be the best one. You might want to change it up.
Another reason to start now is that the principal investigator can write a better letter. It's more informed. You can get deeper into a project. You're more likely to succeed at that project also. All right, with that, I need to bring this to a close. Let's thank our speakers.